And let us finish the third chapter of Black Hearts in Battersea by Joan Aiken. Simon has had a very good day. He had his art supplies paid for, got dinner at the place that he works, came back to the Twite house. Ditto wants him to take her to the fair, heard that he might be moving, and so now he is being wooed with toast from the Twite family, although they are planning to do him some amount of no good, and he was able to hear this while he was taking a bath. He could hear their voices through the chimney. So let's pick up where we left off. I suppose so, Simon said doubtfully. He glanced about, half hoping for some trace of Dr. Field's presence. The room was large and extremely shabby. It contained several down-at-bottom armchairs, a table covered with dingy red plush, a potted palm in a brass pot, and a piano with several of its yellowed keys missing. "You play?" said You play?" said Mr. Twite, following the direction of Simon's eyes to the piano. "Are you a follower of Terpsichore?" "No," said Simon, without the least notion of who Terpsichore could be. "Oh, my family sing and play. My dear wife, the triangle, my sister-in-law, the violoncello, ditto, the hautboy, like myself, Penelope, and my father-in-law, the pianoforte. Penelope, my dear, you shall play and sing for us to welcome our young friend into our circle." "No, I shan't, Pa," said Penelope shortly, and returned to her reading. Simon thought her a disagreeable girl. She was pale and like Ditto, had straw-colored hair, which was elaborately dressed in ringlets. She wore a showy gown adorned with floss and spangles. She caught Simon's eye, gave him a scornful glance, yawned again, and said, "Isn't anyone coming in tonight?" Simon excused himself, explaining that he had to be up early. "Now you won't think of moving, dear boy, will you?" Mrs. Twite gave him a toothy smile. "We might even see our way to lowering your rent." She thought this over and added, "Washing water reduced to 3 halfpence and a bucket?" "To 3 halfpence a bucket?" "Thank you." Simon wondered why the Twites, last night not at all keen to have a lodger, were now so anxious to persuade him to stay. He was at the door, about to say good night, when it opened smartly in his face, and a woman walked in carrying a cello. She was looking behind her as she walked, and she called to somebody behind her. "Put them in the kitchen, Todd. Do mind you don't drop the cabbages." She turned to Mrs. Twite and added, "There's cabbages, Ella, and a nice basket of potatoes you'll find this side, and as nice a basket of potatoes as you'll find this side of the garden." "Thank you, Tinty," Mrs. Twite said, looking a little flustered. "This is our new lodger, Mr. Thingamy, my sister, Mrs. Grotch." "Good evening," Simon said. Mrs. Grotch, too, appeared disconcerted, but nodded stiffly. On the way up to bed, Simon glanced down the stairs and saw the boy, Todd, stagger into the Twite's kitchen with a heavy load of mixed vegetables. Simon's suspicions were confirmed, for Todd was the boy who had snatched his letter on Southwark Bridge, and Mrs. Gotch, or Aunt Tinty, was a little woman who had misdirected him. A slow, plodding step was now audible, coming up the stairs from the front door. Simon lingered, waiting to see if his last guess was right, and was rewarded, for the old man who came into view, pulling himself up laboriously by the handrail, and pausing to take a long, quavering breath on each step, was the same white-bearded elder whom he'd last seen on Southwark Bridge, talking about his youth in the forest of Epping. And that is the end of Chapter 3.